So this is Amy with ResidentRockstar.com, and I'm here with Scott from Skeleton Witch, and we're talking to them today outside of the Summit Music Hall. Scott, your bio reads a lot about there was Skeleton Witch, like there was always Skeleton Witch, but what really came before that?
Well, that's a tough question. In our lives or
how did you guys evolve? Like where did Skeleton Witch come from? I know some of your history, but let's pretend I don't.
Okay, well, Nate and our other guitarist Nate and myself met at school. Actually, we were both in Athens, Ohio, going to college, and more or less we decided that we liked playing heavy metal and hanging out and drinking beer and writing music more so than going to class. So once we were both done with school, one way or another, whether we graduated or quit, we just went full force with the band. We started booking our own shows, touring, just going for it. And eventually things worked out with Prosthetic Records, and we started touring a little bit more extensively in bigger places, and just sort of built it from there. I mean, of course I'm glossing over a good 3 or 4 years of just eating total shit and doing our first tour ever self-booked in a pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
The Prosthetic Records came in way later. We played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows in Ohio and in Michigan, and we did a full U.S. tour before we had a record label.
Wow, so that's amazing.
That gives you a little more scope, I guess. But, we went out to the West Coast and toured.
Completely
totally
funded it yourselves.
Oh, yeah, and it sucked. But at the time, it was awesome. It was the best thing in the world.
Right.
We look back so fondly on it. And now, over 10 years into this band, we look back and think about how many days off we had, how we made, $20 playing a DIY space, where there's
right.
2 dudes that showed up. And we're like, God, we couldn't do that anymore. But, at the time, absolutely, it was great. I love it. So just formed the band. We're like, screw, anything else. This is what we want to do. Let's try it. And we haven't looked back since those few days when we were both like, you know what? Screw these job offers we have. Let's just play music and see what happens. I mean, here we are. We are in a 93 Chevy Blazer in a parking lot in I was going to say Detroit. In Denver. I know, in Denver, outside the Summit Music Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, well, it doesn't sound very glamorous, but I mean, you guys have come a long way. This is a huge tour for you, and tonight's show is sold out. I mean, there's barely standing room in there, and the crowd just went crazy for you guys, even with the limited stage space.
Yeah, oh man. Wasn't that something?
Yeah.
If you could see it, I think some of the guys have pictures, but I mean, I have pretty big feet.
Yeah.
I almost couldn't stand
I noticed.
Perpendicular to the front of the stage because from the monitors to my amp, my feet didn't fit. They barely did.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I'm not complaining.
Right.
You just go for it.
It's a cramped stage.
You just go
for
for
the Summit, and
yeah.
it's a wonderful, amazing venue, and that's the only little tiny drawback that it has is the stage room is limited.
Exactly.
So
I mean, Amon Amarth and Enslaved pushed back way more than they normally do. They did everything they could to give us room. So not complaining.
Right.
Sometimes you just deal with what you
deal
got.
with what you got. But you guys did amazing.
It was sweet. Yeah, I loved it.
And so what really got you personally into metal when you guys were starting out? I know you went full force with Skeleton Witch, but you had to start somewhere before that where your interest was really peaked. What brought you into the scene?
Yeah. Well, at first it was rock and roll when I was a young kid. I loved Iggy Pop and the Stooges, the MC5, all that kind of stuff. And one of my favorite bands, which is more modern, I guess, for rock and roll, was the Helicopters from Sweden. Huge fan, still am, even though they're not a band anymore. So it started with that, and then I started just going into heavier and heavier stuff. And the most obvious is, the Big Four. When you live in the middle of nowhere, like I did, in Northwest Ohio,
yes,
in a little farm town, all you have is what you find at the record store. And this is now I feel so old. This is when we had really shitty dial-up internet.
Yeah,
and I couldn't go check it. Yeah, I couldn't go just listen to music all the time.
Right.
Just go to YouTube and just listen to whatever you want. So it was, I sort of moved beyond the shitty radio station stuff that you normally hear, the corporate modern,
right,
whatever, and started to delve a little bit deeper and went, beyond say the Big Four and things like that, and started and Pantera, which I loved and still love to this day, those obvious things. Then I started delving into black metal and stuff, and my older brother bought me an Emperor record, and I was 15, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
I was like, this is fucking scary. He put it away, and then 2 weeks later I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but like it made sense finally a little bit later. So it was just a natural growth from rock and roll to the obvious metal to then going to record stores and having the cool older brother, if you will. That,
my older brother got me into metal. He showed me Skinny Puppy and Slayer, and he took away my New Kids on the Block.
First concert I went to, it was Slayer, and it was for my 16th birthday, and my brother brought me.
Yes. Yeah. I remember wanting to go and not being old enough. It was horrible.
Oh, yeah, and my parents were cool, and they let me go to concerts see where we lived. We had to drive an hour or 2 or 3 to go see a show, and they would let me do it on school nights.
Nice.
They're like, as long as your grades are good. So my ass studied.
That's my rule,
I was
too.
like 4.0, I'm going to see Slayer.
Yeah, that's my rule too.
Like 4.0, I'm going to go see Primus and Mr. Bungle,
And would they fund it for you?
I also worked.
Oh,
I worked.
That's even better.
And saved up my own money to buy the tickets, but as long as I would do that, as long as I busted my ass, they were like, go to school tired as hell. So I'd go to see some I went and saw Slayer, then the next day went to Catholic school.
Yes.
That's how awesome my parents were.
Yeah, that's awesome. Your parents sound great, and it's great that they encouraged you as a child to follow what you were interested in. And so, along the lines of what interested you when you were younger, what are your top 5 most influential metal albums?
Oh, wow, that's really tough.
It is a tough one.
Let's see. This is going to be... these would change day to day, probably. Right. But fuck it. Let's just say Death, maybe Individual Thought Patterns, Judas Priest, Sad Wings of Destiny, Black Sabbath. I don't even know which one to choose. A Black Sabbath album.
Any Black Sabbath album.
Yeah. Maybe Metallica, Ride the Lightning. I do love it. I mean, it's a classic. Everybody
it's a good
knows
old
that.
classic,
It's an obvious choice, but I love it. And Merciful Fate, tie between Melissa and Don't Break the Oath. Doesn't matter. Yeah, they're both perfect.
That's awesome. Those are, right along the lines of everything I listen to, too, so...
And I already want to mention a Maiden record. Now,
you're like, wait, can I go back? I have, 10.
yeah, but those were some of, those were the big ones that, life changers.
So, as far as albums go, what about your albums? What is your favorite Skeletonwitch album?
My favorite one, obvious answer, is the new one. I think it's the first time that the production and the sound of the record matches the energy of a live show that we do. I think it finally synced up. We would hear a lot of, your records are good, I enjoy them, but man, when I see you live, it's so much energy, so much different. And I think the two experiences synced up a lot better this time around with Kurt Ballou, but behind the desk, we're doing the engineering and the mixing and stuff. So that and plus, I just dig the newer tunes a little bit more because we sort of expanded a little bit and did a few different things that we haven't done before. Like any band, there's a core sound. You know what we're gonna sort of sound like, and we're not trying to. We don't want you to hear the record and go, I like Skeleton Witch. Then you hear the new record and go, this is them. We want you to be like, this is obviously the new Skeleton Witch. Like we like doing what we do, but within that realm, we want to write better songs, and we want to always incorporate a few other things. Slowly and naturally grow. Not force it. So I think in that sense we were able to add a few more elements in, do a few different things we haven't done in the past, and then the sound, quality and everything, all of that.
Yeah, the sound is amazing. The album is really amazing, and you guys sound exactly like it live. I mean, I was blown away. It was like listening to the CD. So, what do you have a favorite song on the album?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Mine might be Beneath Dead Leaves, which is the second track, I believe. We played it tonight. And I can say that too, somewhat objectively, because I didn't write it. So I think Nate did, and I was like, "You fucker, that's really good. That's awesome."
Nate writes the core of the songs, doesn't he? And he also drives the van.
Yeah, the van. The van. Every once in a while we take a bus, but not in the States. Usually in Europe. Yeah, but that's the one thing that was a little bit different on this record is that, I've always written riffs, ideas, parts of songs, and Nate is really, really good at composing and structuring and making sense of things. So often, he shows up with, we don't write together, we all write independent, or Nate and I write independently, and he'll use a drum machine and record 2 guitar parts. And sometimes, he emails me and is like, "Hey, here's an entire song," or "Hey, here's a bunch of the stuff you sent me. like riffs, ideas, and things incorporated into this structure. So the one thing that was a little different for this newest record was that besides me just giving him parts of songs, half of a song, an intro, whatever, there's 3 or 4 tracks that I just wrote entirely myself on this one. So I had a lot more input, not more than Nate, but a lot more than normal.
And what are those tracks?
This Evil Embrace was mine. Oh God, what are they all?
Skeletonwitch Trivia.
What are they all called? It's funny because the ones we haven't played yet, I can't remember the names of them. This Evil Embrace. I'm gonna cheat and look at my phone at the track, at the titles. Well, we did 50-50 on From a Cloudless Sky, which we played today.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious. I'm looking at my phone and see. Let's see here. What's on this album? Unending Ever Living, Unwept, and From a Cloudless Sky. Half of that one, and then all of This Evil Embrace. Yeah.
Awesome. So you really had a lot more to do with like a song structure in this one.
I did, and the good thing was that it wasn't, I would write stuff and send it to Nate, and we would talk about it and discuss, like if it was working or wasn't, and what we could do, and so we were writing simultaneously different parts, but sending each other things, and I think maybe just the amount of time I had put in, or maybe I practiced a little more,
right,
or something. This time around, Nate was kind of more willing to like sort of get into some of my ideas,
the groove together,
and so we'd each be working on a song until it was done simultaneously, rather than we worked on one or he worked on one, and I just kept throwing stuff at him until he finished it.
Well, it shows through in the finished product that you guys are working together like harmoniously, and how well it sounds. Everything about the new album is great. What is your like proudest accomplishment to date?
Being in the same band with for the most part the same guys for 10 years and still doing it and still enjoying it. If we didn't want to be here, we wouldn't be here. It's not like, as the more we do this and the bigger tours we get to do, of course it's a little less like, you don't have to eat like 99-cent cheeseburgers every day.
Right.
You can like, the money does get a little bit better, but you'd be surprised how little it is. If I didn't want to do this for fun, I wouldn't do it, is what I'm ultimately getting at. We're not getting rich here, even though it's getting better. It's still like, you'd be shocked.
You're still probably not even breaking even.
We're breaking even, and we get to do this full time now. We don't have to do other stuff, which is fantastic. But I mean, it took 10 years, 9 years to get to the point of not having to like get home and immediately run to another job and like work your ass off while you're home, while trying to book the next tour, while trying to plan the next, at the next step for the band. And now it's like, now that we can only focus on the band, and it's awesome. So
yeah, leaving the day job behind has got to be a load off your shoulders.
So 10 years in, still doing what you love, even though it's not like, we're rock gods making millions. It's like, man, we still love doing this. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, because I've watched so many bands or toured with so many who have lost that spark, and you can tell. You might not be like you might not tell from the front of the stage, but backstage you can tell they hate each other, they don't want to be on tour, and it's sad, and they keep doing it because they got to a point where it was making money and doing well, that they just stick with it. And that's the saddest thing in the world. If I hate doing this, fuck this, like I'll do something else. I can make money doing something else. I don't need Skeletonwitch to make money. I need Skeletonwitch because it makes me happy.
Exactly.
And, and I like doing it.
That's the right reason to do it. You guys are notoriously hard workers, and I think that your 10 years of hard work has really paid off, because I've personally watched you grow and change into the amazing performers that you are today. And so one of the things that I always ask you guys, and I always ask everybody, is what is the best advice that you have for somebody that is starting out where you were 10 years ago?
That's a good question. Let's see. Be professional. Be understanding about what's going on around you. And to give you a very concrete example, one of the things that tends to happen on tours is like there are local bands that get on a show. We were one. We sold tickets. We've done we did it all, and they show up to a show, and then they have the world's most gigantic drum kit, and then they're furious when they say like, hey, your set's going to be like 20 minutes because there's like 8 bands on this show, and the promoter put 8 fucking bands on it, and you're one of 8 bands, and you only get to play for 20 minutes, and you have mega kit, and you have 6 girlfriends helping load gear on the stage, like in everybody's way. Like, be professional and understand what's going on, because people notice that and pay attention to that, and you'll get asked to do more shows. You'll get asked to open for bigger shows, bigger bands, if you're professional about what you do and understand what's going on. Like, we've had amazing claims from bands that said like, "Oh, Skeletonwitch stole all the monitors. We couldn't play." And I'm like, "Stole them? They're right there. Like we don't. You're allowed to use all the channels we are, guys." Like when we headlined a show, like this band like wrote all this weird stuff about us online, and we were like, "Dudes, like we didn't do anything. Like I don't know, like what you're talking about."
Right.
But like they were furious that they told they were going to get to play for an hour, and it's like Jesus, like Amon Amarth plays for an hour and a half, and Slave's playing for 45 minutes. They came from Norway. You live down the street. Like, don't be mad, So it's sort of just having an understanding. If you're starting out, understand how everything works. Understand how you can grow your band. Play the short set, eat shit when you have to, do what you got to do, pay your dues, and understand how everything works. And if you run a tight ship, you're on time, you're on off the stage quickly, you write good music, you promote yourself well, you keep your shit together, people take notice. Promoters do, labels do. Yep. Label guys come out to these shows. Brian Slagle from Metal Blade's been at like 4 of the shows. And on this tour, if you're able to open a show, that's a big deal. And if you're mad because you don't get to play for 2 hours, and there's not enough room for your Neil Peart drum kit, well, you may have missed an opportunity because Brian Slagle from Metal Blade is standing there watching you.
Right, and not impressed.
So just be professional and have some awareness about what's going on around you and how this shit works, and you'll get a lot further than if you just look at the adversity, the hurdles in front of you and throw your arms up and cry and complain and act like a wuss, because then you are a wuss and you should just get the fuck out of there.
Exactly. I think that's solid advice from somebody that's been doing it for a decade.
Oh, I mean, tonight we had less than 2 feet from our heads to the monitors.
And
it was awesome.
Obviously, you guys are the opening act on this tour.
And we have 30 minutes, and we were on and we were off in 30 minutes, and we weren't.
Yeah, you guys are perfect and professional, and I'm not going to say perfect because there's no such thing as perfect, but
Agreed.
You guys do strive to be professional and on time, and I think that really shows through in not only your music but your performance, and like you said, how quickly you're on and off the stage, and that's the reason that you're going to get to do the things that you're doing is because you are on top of your shit, and that's a really, really good point, and I'm glad that was your advice today.
Don't get me wrong, it begins and it ends with the music. But you can have great music and be an asshole, and you're not going to go anywhere.
Right. So with that being said, what is next for Skeletonwitch?
Next is a tour of Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia.
Yes.
This spring. And then in the summer, we're going to do festivals in Europe. And then in the fall, hopefully we will be doing a headlining tour in the U.S. So those are the plans for now.
Awesome. And we want everybody to go pick up your new album. So you're going to plug your new album?
Serpents Unleashed. Pick it up. I mean, obviously you guys are smart. You know how to use Google. You know how to, even more importantly, go to your local record store and get it. But yeah, it's Serpents Unleashed. It's on Prosthetic Records. It's on iTunes. It's on Bandcamp. It's at your local record store. And if it's not, make them order it. You guys are smart. You know where to find it if you want.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right, this has been an interview with Scott from Skeletonwitch, and then you can find us on ResonantRockstar.com.
Awesome. Thank you.